guys, so today I'm reporting out on everything that I purchased in the month of February using my beauty budget. If you are new to my channel, this is a series I do every single month where I kind of report back to you kind of day by day what I purchased and then what that totaled up to be and how that related to my overall budget for the month. But before we get into my specific list of what I purchased this month, I want to address Physicians Formula. And specifically because in the month of February, I actually purchased quite a few products from Physicians Formula. And then on the last day of the month, I actually got a message from one of you guys saying, hey, have you seen what cruelty-free Kitty is posting out there that she no longer considers Physicians Formula cruelty-free? And so on the last day of the month, after having purchased quite a few Physicians Formula products, I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Physicians Formula is a sister brand to Wet n Wild, if you weren't familiar. And last year, maybe about a year ago at this point, Wet n Wild made the decision to start selling in China. They produce their products in China and sell in China. So they are avoiding what is known as pre-market testing, where your products are made somewhere else and imported into China for sale in stores in mainland China. So Wet n Wild is avoiding that. What no brand can avoid, though, is post-market testing. This is where the Chinese government is taking products off the shelves at random to do animal testing on them. And then also, if there's ever like a complaint or an issue that rises to the surface, they will also do animal testing on makeup products. So most cruelty-free websites, most cruelty-free bloggers, as well as Leaping Bunny, which is kind of, in my mind, the gold standard for people who, or for brands rather, trying to really adhere to a cruelty-free stance, consider the sale of products in mainland China in any way, shape, or form to kind of preclude you from being a cruelty-free brand. What we've now seen Physicians Formula do is the exact same thing that Wet n Wild did last year. I don't consider Physicians Formula a cruelty-free brand, and I'm not going to be purchasing from them any longer. And that kind of bums me out because my favorite oil balm cleanser is from Physicians Formula. I actually purchased some, I think, more mid-month, but that'll be my last bottle, or rather jar of it. And I will be looking for a new balm cleanser to take off my makeup at the end of the night. So real fast, I made the decision that I'm not going to include Physicians Formula in my drugstore roundup. I'm going to quickly address the products that I bought specifically in the month of February, because I did purchase quite a few, give you my quick thoughts on them so you are kind of aware, and then I'm going to make a decision kind of probably off camera on, do I want to keep any of these products, or do I want to go ahead and pass them on to a women's shelter if they can be cleaned up and sanitized, etc. The first thing I bought in February at Walgreens was actually their Physicians Formula Natural Defense Sheer Line of Defense Foundation Sunscreen. It does have both a physical and a chemical sunscreen in here. So I, quite frankly, didn't care for this. I found this to be light coverage, but very chalky and makeup-y on my face. I could never find a way in which to wear this where it didn't look like makeup, but it wasn't makeup that like gave me a flawless, beautiful base. It was like makeup that just looked makeup-y. I don't know, it just didn't blend well across my skin. So this is one that would have probably been in my fails bucket, quite frankly, because I just couldn't find a way to make this foundation work. All right, I had to take a bit of a pause because I was getting rather warm in here. It's actually like 61, 62 today in Ohio. I don't even know what's happening. I will take it. I'm sure that means it's going to snow this week, but regardless, it's actually getting a little warm in this room. So back to what I was saying about Physicians Formula, the few other products that I picked up this month. Another product from the Natural Defense line was this cream blush stick. I got the shade Soft Pink. It is a really nice pinky tone. My biggest challenge with this was that as I blended it out onto my skin, I largely felt like it was completely disappearing, and I kept having to build it up, build it up, build it up. And so for someone who likes blush and wants a really pretty blush cheek but doesn't want it to like completely disappear, like you blend it and it's like gone. This is just one that I feel like the texture just doesn't work. I also picked up a couple of lip formulas from their Rosé All Day line. I got the shade Pillow Talk because everyone was saying this was a dupe for Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury. I do think that these products are close, but not exact. In fact, let me get my Charlotte Tilbury. So there is Charlotte Tilbury. I think it's a little lighter and a little pinker, and their Pillow Talk is a little deeper and a little more rosy. Definitely in the same family, but I definitely would not call them shade dupes, at least how I see them side by side. So they have a matte crayon in this formula, and then they also had a glossy lip crayon, and I got the shade Blushing Mauve in this one. Glossy ones are definitely a lot more sheer and sort of balm-like, and then these have a really nice matte texture that still has a nice slip to them. The biggest challenge I have with these is they're really intensely fragranced of rose, and I like floral scents. I like floral scents in perfumes. I like floral scents in foods. Like I love lavender in things and rose scents in things, but like this is very, I think it smells like faux rose, and it's very, 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 very strong. So it's not my favorite rose scent of life, and it's one that doesn't go away. It's one that I continue to smell on my lips for hours, like pretty much as long as it's on my lips, I'm still smelling it. The last product that I had purchased this month was also from the Rosé All Day line. It was one of these little duos. They called it their Rosé All Day Set and Glow. I got the shade Brightening Rose. And so it has like a balm here and a powder here. This does not have a ton of pigment to it. In fact, I was thinking I was going to use it as a blush topper, and it really doesn't even show up on my super fair skin much as a blush. And that was me swatching it heavily. So by the time you kind of dust it out, it's pretty much gone. To me, this reminds me more of a glowy finishing powder, a la the Hourglass powders. The balm itself on the top here in this little slice is pretty sticky. It reminds me more of like a chapstick balm. This product here is very thick. It doesn't have any color in it, and it really does feel almost like you've put a like Carmex on your cheeks. It is also very strongly rose scented. It's not as strong as the lipsticks in my opinion, but it's still pretty strong and pretty fragrant. So moving on to the other things that I purchased in the month of February. On that same Walgreens trip where I got the Sheer Defense foundation from Physicians Formula, I found a new formula from number 7, and this is part of their Protect and Protect Advanced line. This is their all-in-one foundation. This is a wonderful product. I picked up the shade Calico, which is their second to the lightest shade. I do think this one might be like just a hint too dark for me right now, but I so like this formula and how dewy and smoothing it is. Like, this is a wonderful foundation. I cannot sing its praises highly enough. And then while I was in Walgreens that day, I also ran across a display of CoverGirl Exhibitionist lip glosses. I picked up the shade 170 Short Change. It's actually the lip gloss I have on right now. It's just sort of a soft nude pink. The formula is thicker, but it's also very gel-like. So what I find is that it doesn't feel heavy or goopy or sticky. Like, it's a nice gel texture, but it has a little bit of substance to it. This one has a light fruity scent, so it's not vanilla. It's definitely a fruit scent, but I don't mind it. I find it to be very subtle. But yeah, I did like this formula. And then also in 2-1, I ran into Target, and they had a display of all of the new bite-sized e.l.f. palettes. I'm so impressed with these, and I think the YouTube community in general has been kind of raving about them. I picked up the shades Pumpkin Pie, which is sort of a duochrome. It has 2 mattes and 2 shimmers, and you've got a more warm end and a more neutral end here. And as someone who loves just a very simple all over bronzed eye, which is kind of what I've done today, this is like an ideal little palette for me because I can go a little warmer or a little cooler, and honestly all I do is throw the shimmer shade all over my lid and then blend out in my outer corner and kind of a little bit up through my crease with the matte shade. And then I also really like the shade Rosewater, which is it's got sort of more plummy pinky tones. And in this case, I think I've got like a really nice transition shade for me, a very nice sort of pink champagne, a rose, and then a really nice deepening plum shade that I used both as a liner on one look and then also sort of as an outer corner deepening shade, which made the look a lot more smoky. So after I went to Walgreens and then to Target, I went into Ulta because I had my 2,100 points, which is like $120 sort of gift card at Ulta. And then they had also sent out a 20% off coupon. And as a result, I was picking up things for like 44 cents or 80 cents, etc. And so that kept my totals very low for the month. One thing that I purchased while I was there was a new cleanser. This is from a brand called Mad Hippie. I've never tried anything from them before. They're calling this their cream cleanser. It has jojoba, green tea, macadamia oil, and orchid extract. Essentially what I've been looking for is a very gentle cleanser that will be the second part of my cleanse without stripping my skin. And so this is claiming to be a gentle pH balancing cream that cleanses without stripping the skin of protective natural oils. It comes in a glass bottle, so it's going to be very easy to recycle. And then I also like that it has a pump here at the top. So I'm very, very, very interested in getting into this. I have a hard time wasting product. Like I have a hard time just like diving right into this one when I still have something else going strong. When it comes to skincare and like hair care and stuff like that, I have a really hard time with multiples open at the same time. Clearly not the case for makeup, but with my skincare, that is how I feel. So I'm hoping that I can dive into this here in the next couple of weeks and I kind of finish out that one from Korea. And now for a whole host of drugstore makeup that I picked up for next to nothing. So up first, I got 2 of the new Essence The Blush. I think one of the products that Essence does the best is blush. Got the shade, let's see, Befitting, which is sort of a satin, maybe slightly leaning mauve blush that has a nice mauvey neutral undertone to it. And then I also got the shade Bespoke, which is more of a neutral, more glowy blush that does lean a little bit more brown and a little more brownsy, but it has enough of a sort of peachy warmth to it that I feel like it's not just bronzer on my skin. Like I feel like it's going to give me a very bronzed look, but it's still going to read slightly peachy on my skin. Formula of these is everything that I would expect from an Essence blush. It's very easy to work with. It's buildable. It's pigmented without being too pigmented. It lasts on my skin very well. Blends out silky smooth formula. I picked up a couple products from Makeup Revolution. I bought this lip liner. This is in the shade Chauffeur. Thought that the packaging looked super similar to the Charlotte Tilbury lip pencils. My biggest complaint with this lip pencil though is that because of its waxiness, I don't really feel like it stays. I think that it doesn't really set down and I don't really feel like it lasts very well. And I can best demonstrate that by just the fact that I rubbed my finger over both of these swatches. And you can see that the Charlotte Tilbury one, although faded, is still there, but the other shade from Makeup Revolution is pretty much gone. I also picked up a new concealer from them. So this is their Conceal and Define Infinite Longwear Concealer. I got the shade C3. This formula definitely packs a pigmented punch. I don't find it to be incredibly drying. I do think it lasted well underneath my eyes. I didn't need to set this one, but I gotta be honest, I am typically somebody who will put on concealer and try and let it set while I do my eyes and kind of tap out any creasing. And then if I really feel like it's moving around after that, I may go in and add a little bit of powder, but in general, I'm trying to avoid powder underneath my eyes. I would say if you like a high coverage concealer, you might really enjoy this one. I definitely think this is more high coverage than any other concealer from Makeup Revolution that I have tried. For my way of doing makeup nowadays, I'm finding that I don't need a super high full coverage concealer, and because I'm wearing sort of light medium foundation on a regular basis, sometimes full coverage concealer can be just too intense for me. But I know I'm kind of the minority as it relates to that. So I feel like this is probably a concealer that a lot of people would really enjoy. I just don't think it's like 100% like my makeup preferences right now. Another product that I picked up from Makeup Revolution, kind of on a whim. They had a really pretty display of a whole bunch of neutral lips, and I was kind of drawn into the packaging, quite frankly, because I think it's really pretty. So this is their Sheer Brilliant lip gloss. I got the shade Chauffeur in this, so that's the same color that is in my lip liner. This is a formula that is like very thin feeling and very glossy and very, very wet looking. It is definitely one of the wetter lip glosses that I've ever tried. It has a candy scent, fruity candy scent to it. It reminds me of like sweet tarts, like the ones that are kind of like the little chalky kind of discs that we all get in like Halloween candy packs. It reminds me of that scent. I neither like love it nor hate it, but that's the closest thing that I can compare it to. It's definitely one that does not last very long because it's a little thinner and because it's super glossy. I find that this is a gloss that is gone quickly. So like the CoverGirl one, the one that I have on right now, it's going to last fairly well on me. I may need to reapply every like 3 hours or so, assuming I am not doing any sort of heavy eating or drinking. This is one that I feel like kind of needs reapplication on an hourly basis. I think the color is really beautiful. The shine is beautiful. It does work really well layered over a lip liner that lasts a bit longer. So I tried it underneath their lip liner and didn't care for it. And then one day I actually put Pillow Talk all over my lips and put this on top. At that point, I felt like I was getting a little bit more longevity. It's nice. I don't know as if it's my favorite glossy formula at the drugstore, but if any of the colors call to you or you've been really looking for something really, really high shine, this is nice. So next up, I picked up a product that I think it came out last year from Revolution Pro, and it was a liquid blush. So originally I had gotten the shade Peaches, which while pretty is actually quite intense. The pigmentation on here is, it just goes and goes and goes. And so it was a little bit difficult for me to kind of blend out. So I think I tried this once and was like, I'm struggling with how intense this is. And the formula seemed okay, but like I was really having to like calm it down. So while I was in the store, I found this like really beautiful sort of soft neutrally color. And this is the shade Harmony. And I got oh so excited. So I really love this shade quite a bit. Now I will say I have worn this once. I need to wear it again. I still have it in my to test bin, but I had the weirdest reaction that day when I put this on, in the sense that like my cheeks just felt super cooling. Like I put this on and for the next hour, it felt like I had a cooling effect on my cheeks, which is really strange because as I swatch these, I don't feel that. And when I was testing and playing with this, I didn't have that reaction. So like I said, I've worn this once. I need to play around with it a few more times because I'm not sure if maybe I had just combined it with something that caused a reaction. Like maybe it reacted to a different ingredient that was on my skin that day, because I really like this color a ton. But like I said, it was a very strange reaction. So I still need to play with this one. This one's still in my to try sort of bin. I also picked up a eyeshadow palette from Catrice. I hadn't really tried much from Catrice in terms of eyeshadow palettes. And so I got a super neutral palette. This is called Basic Bae. I actually took this traveling with me in the month of February. And this was the only palette I took. I had no complaints with any of the shimmer shades. I think they all performed very nicely. They have nice pigmentation to them. The mattes were smooth and easy to blend out. Pretty neutral, but it definitely leans a little warm and a little gold, which I think I've talked about is kind of not my favorite neutral color. So if you can see there, you've got sort of those gold tones there. But yeah, I actually think the quality of this was really nice, and they had quite a few other color combos coming out as well. I also picked up quite a few Milani products on this trip. One of them was their Most Wanted palettes. I got the shade Rosy Revenge because I think the color story just, I don't know, it really appealed to me. It has 3 mattes here, and then you've got sort of a rose gold down here, and then you've got sort of a shimmery plum color here, and then more of a satiny purple here, which works really great as a liner. I did do a look with this. I think it's really pretty. The formula is, I think, very reminiscent of the same formula that is in their these palettes here from Milani. Definitely one that doesn't last like a full like 16-hour day, but not everybody is looking for that exact performance inside of their eyeshadow. I made some really pretty looks in here. I think it's a really nice eyeshadow palette. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I don't think it's necessarily, once again, my favorite eyeshadow formula at the drugstore, but this is a heck of a lot better than most, and I really enjoyed playing around with this palette. I also picked up 2 of the new highlighter options that they had. So one is their baked highlighter. I got the shade Dolce Perla, which was the lightest shade here. It's definitely a pink leaning highlighter. It is a very smooth formula. I think Milani does bake formulas very well, so that is the shade there. It's like I said, it's pretty blinding. Still think I prefer the Afterglow highlighters that they launched a couple years ago to this formula, but I do think this one is really nice, and it's one I will definitely be keeping inside my collection. The other one I got was their highlighting duo. It says it's a low beam cream formula and a high beam powder formula. I can't figure out what is supposed to be creamy in here. Neither one of these sides is cream to me. They are both a thin powder formula. This pinky shade really is more of a blush topper for me. It's a little too dark for me to be using as a highlighter. I don't think this is bad per se, but I kind of wish it was actually a cream on one side and a powder on another, and I wish this wasn't quite as brightly pink, because I do think it doesn't work as a highlighter. It really is more of a blush topper for me. I also picked up one of their new lip gloss formulas. This is their Ludicrous lip gloss. They have quite a few colors in these, ones with and without shimmer. I got one of the ones with shimmer. This is the shade 120, She's All That. It has a really nice sort of thin spade-like applicator that is really easy for kind of like hugging your lip lines. I think this formula is really pretty and glossy. The shade that I got is pretty sheer, so it's not going to add a ton of color, just sort of a light peach with a slight hint of shimmer. This formula reminds me a heck of a lot of the Fenty Gloss Bomb formula in terms of its sort of viscosity, in terms of like how thick the formula it is, but still how gel-like, like, and hydrating. Like, this is a very similar formula in my opinion to the Fenty Gloss Bombs, and I've really enjoyed this one. I also picked up a couple products from e.l.f. I picked up one of their putty eye primers. I got the shade Rose. This is sort of a similar formula to what I would consider to be the putty primer that they've put out that doesn't have a tint to it. This one just has sort of a slightly rosy nude base to it. I've used both my finger and a brush to apply it. I have to be honest, I love this as an eyeshadow base. I find that it largely like smooths out my eye and kind of like gently sets itself so that I have zero issue blending eyeshadow out on top of this. I think this formula really locks eyeshadow in. I was wearing this when I was at a conference for like a whole week, and I was having those super long days where I was like putting my makeup on around like 6 a.m. in the morning, and then I would get done with dinner at like 9 o'clock at night. So I needed my makeup to kind of last that entire day. And this was all I packed for eyeshadow primer, and it worked so well for me. I was really impressed. And then I also picked up one of e.l.f.'s new satin lipsticks. So they have these little sort of clear lipsticks that retail for $3. A lot of the shades are lots of brights and lots of berries. I really like this formula. It's a really classic creamy formula. It blends easily. It's nice pigmentation. It feels great on the lips, but it doesn't, it's moisturizing without being slippy or slidey. Like, I'm super impressed with this formula. I don't really feel like there's other shades that I'm like chomping at the bit to go get. I don't need another hot pink lipstick. I don't need another berry. I don't need another red kind of thing. But Nectar is gorgeous, and I think the formula is great. So if any of the shades appeal to you, I think it's a formula that is fantastic, and I kind of like this clear little package. Probably my favorite purchase from that trip to Ulta. was this palette from BH Cosmetics. This is the Smitten in Switzerland palette. I did a look with the green shades, and it was honestly just a 2-shadow look where I put the green all over my lid and then kind of put this into the corner. I just look at this and I'm like super inspired, and there's like 3 shades in here. So Zurich, this pinky shade, Glacier Express, and then Alps down here, that all kind of have just a hint of a duochrome to them that is just stunning. But I have played around with this quite a bit and I am just absolutely in love. I think the color story is just 100% up my alley in terms of fun shades, in terms of neutrals that offer just a little bit of interest to them. So and once again, this formula is just fantastic, like one of the best formulas at the drugstore. The last 2 products that I picked up at Ulta that day were from Florence by Mills. I picked up a cream blush and a concealer from her. So this is her See You Never concealer. I got the shade, let's see, F05. It's interesting. It has like a silver sort of applicator that's nice and cooling. It just kind of like spreads it. You'll need to go in with a sponge or a brush or your finger to kind of blend it out. It's a medium coverage concealer. I think it's nice. I don't necessarily think it's anything to like write home about. It's giving me, like I said, medium coverage. The color is good for me. Like I don't really have any major complaints about this, but I also don't think it's like revolutionary, groundbreaking. Every time I wear it, I love how my under eyes look kind of thing. Like it's just fine. The blush, on the other hand, I am in love with. So the blush I picked up is cream blush, and it's Zen Z is the name of the blush, and it is this really pretty sort of murky terracotta mauve shade. I don't know how else to describe it. These blend out like an absolute dream with your finger or with a brush. They do kind of have a cream to powder formula, but they play so nicely on the skin. Like I just think that is a stunning blush color. Like these are the nude cream blushes that I want in my life. I kind of think that this frosted packaging is kind of cute. I know this is probably a line that is geared towards, you know, teens, and I don't even care. Like this is just a beautiful formula regardless of anyone's age. So Zen Z is a fantastic product. On Tutu, I made a small order on Sephora primarily for a First Aid Beauty coconut primer in a travel size. It is one of my favorite go-to travel primers because it is nicely moisturizing. It gives a nice soft glowy base to my skin, and I love that it comes in a travel size, which means I can pop it in with my liquids. I had bought a travel size a few months back and I had almost used it up, and I left it in a hotel room, and I was so pissed at myself because I was like so close to having an empties, or tossing that in my empties and talking about it on my channel. But it's one that I definitely wanted, and I knew I was going to be traveling later in the month, so I wanted to pick up a new bottle of that. So I got the travel size again. And then I also ordered a lipstick from Kaja. They had done a lightweight lipstick line, so it's called their Earhart lightweight lipstick. It's in packaging that is oh so Kaja. It's kind of heart-shaped here. It's got this sort of soft touch plastic. I got the shade 03 Ride or Die. This is pretty pigmented when you first swatch it, but it does this amazing thing that as you kind of, if you use your finger or a brush, it blends out and kind of looks like this very soft, like lip stain that still feels very comfortable on the lips, that doesn't like, it's blurring almost on the lips. And I really like the color as well as just kind of how I've been able to utilize this, and it doesn't feel like any other formula inside of my collection right now, and I really like that about it as well. When I placed that order, I also there's like not a points offer, it was like a code you could put in to get a free sample, and I got the First Aid Beauty. This is the Arnica Relief and Rescue Mask Soothe and De-Stress. This has arnica in it. It also has glycerin very high up in the list. Cocoa seed butter. Sorry, the font in here is super, super low. It also has cannabis sativa oil in it. Oh, speaking of that, I think I missed something. I did. I'm gonna have to jump back here in just a second because I just realized I missed something in my Ulta haul. I like this. I've used it both as an overnight sleeping mask. Didn't care for it so much as that. Used it as a hydrating mask before doing the rest of my skincare. I did like it in that respect. I like this. I don't know as if I love it enough to go out and purchase a full size of it. So I'm very grateful to have gotten a sample of this to be able to try it out. That reminded me of something else I had picked up from Milani. When I was at Ulta, and I had gotten their Green Goddess, and they are calling it their sleeping mask plus primer. And so I was kind of thinking that I could use this as a primer or a sleeping mask. The more I've read up about it, it's really meant to be the final step of your skincare routine overnight, and you wake up with your refreshed and prepped for normal morning routine. So it's really meant to just be used at night and not as a primer per se. So it does have some cannabis sativa oil in it. I think the packaging on this is gorgeous. I love the gold cap and kind of this octagon shape and the ombre green, like really lovely packaging. It has a very herbal scent to it, and I have to be honest, I've not really purchased a lot of cannabis sativa products at this point, so I don't really know what it smells like, but it's pretty intense. Like it's got on almost like a pine tree smell. Like it's got, yeah, it feels kind of pine smelly. Like I don't know how else to say it. Not like pine sol, but like a cross between herbal and a pine scent. It's pretty intense in terms of the scent, and it might just be that's what cannabis sativa smells like, and therefore I'm just kind of learning what that scent is. I don't love it though, and I don't want to sleep with that scent on my face. So the times that I've used this, I've put this on as a mask, and then I've really wiped it off and then gone in with my skincare so that the smell would be gone. So I kind of wish people could smell this before trying it, because it is a very distinct scent that I don't know if everyone is going to really enjoy. All right, so bouncing forward to 2.9, I've placed an order from a brand that I'd seen on Instagram a few times called UZ. I think it's a Japanese brand. I did email with them. They did confirm that they are a cruelty-free brand. They also do not sell in China. So at this point, I felt safe ordering from them, but I picked up 2 products. I really like this packaging that comes with it. So the packaging for the first product that I got was their 38 degrees Celsius +1 lip treatment. Comes in this sort of like cardboard packaging, and then inside is like the most beautiful jewel of a sort of hydrating lip balm that I've ever seen. Sheer pink is definitely, well, it is just that. It is very sheer. It's pretty much just clear. And I have been using this as a sort of daytime lip balm since I got it, and I really enjoy it. I think it's kept my lips very nicely hydrated during the wintertime. The other thing that I ordered from them, they don't have a ton of products. So they have this range of lip balms that just looks stunning. And then they have some, what do they call them? Like, they're like black eyeliners, like pencil eyeliners, but with a hint of a color. So it's black with a hint of green, or black with a hint of purple, or black with a hint of red. So I think those were kind of interesting, but I didn't feel like I was going to reach for them. What really caught my eye though were these eye-opening liners. I got the shade Gray. It says it is created by traditional craftsmen in the Kumano region of Japan. Packaging is once again in this very easy to recycle cardboard. And then inside is a absolutely beautiful, I mean, stunning eyeliner. I was just so intrigued by the idea of a gray liner, not black liquid liner, but something that was like a soft gray. And I am so impressed with the brush tip on this. It stays juicy. It's super easy to get like a really nice hair-like stroke. Super easy to apply. Doesn't skip, doesn't drag. It lasts all day. Like when I'm doing mauve looks or taupe looks on my eyes and I want a bit of a liner, this was so fun to play with because it gave me the aesthetic of a liner, but without the black color that I think we just commonly feel like we have to do, or that's really what's available mostly on the market. Really impressed with both of these products from UZ, and I definitely have my eye on this brand in the future because I really like what they're doing. And then I think you guys will have seen this because I've already done a Get Ready With Me video. I will link that down below. If not, it will be coming here shortly, but I did order some products from the Kiko Milano Tuscan Sunset collection, or Tuscan Sunshine collection rather. together. I ordered 3 products. I did go ahead and order the blush in Tuscan Iris, which is like sort of a nudie peach into sort of a mauvey neutral. I love this. It's a satin finish. It's not super matte, but it's not like super glowy either. It's very easy to blend out. You can kind of do this like duo blush draping idea like Charlotte Tilbury likes to do with this. The packaging is absolutely stunning in this pink that kind of reflects gold with this rose or this floral print that is then also embossed into the blush. Just a freaking stunning product. And then I also made the decision to pick up the powder, mostly because I was very curious because they were talking about it including squalane and other hydrating type ingredients inside of it. And so I was very curious to see if this is a powder that I could use that might take a little bit of tackiness without ever looking like I'm adding powder to my face. I feel like this winter my skin has been dry. Like I can't even pretend I've been normal this winter. My skin has been dry. And so all the powder products that I put on my skin tend to just make my skin look crusty, but some makeup needs to be set. So there's been this delicate dance of needing to set some of my makeup, but when I put powder on to set it, it just cakes and looks crusty. And so this was a powder that really intrigued me because I looked at the ingredient deck, like I said, with the squalane, with other hydrating type ingredients in there, and thought this might work really well for me. This is in this beautiful sort of apricot packaging. The blush is in sort of a pink. I feel like if you're somebody who is super used to having a heavier setting powder, or having something with talc in it, or even something with some micas, this is not going to feel like a traditional powder to you. This one is definitely very lightweight. It does not pick up much on a brush. In fact, I run my finger across it and I kind of put it on my hand, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot of powder there, but my hand feels very silky and very smooth wherever the powder went. And I have found that it takes down just a hint of that sort of dewiness or tackiness that might be left on my skin that might cause my makeup to move around throughout the day without adding that heavy powdery texture. I don't think this is a powder for everyone. I think a lot of people would use this and feel like it didn't really do much, but I'm just like looking to take the edge off without going overboard with powder. And for that respect, I really like it. It also has just a hint of a glow to it. Not enough that I would even say this is like the glowiest powder of life. I don't feel like I'm like a disco ball by the time I put it on, but I'm quite happy with this powder. And I hope that they keep a formula like this in their collection because I think this is something that it's a type of powder I hadn't experienced before. The last thing I picked up from that collection was a lip stick. This is their Shiny Lip STYLO. I got the shade 01. It's in this beautiful metal packaging with a magnet. This is a lovely, lovely formula. This is probably the closest dupe that I have found to the L'Oreal Color Reshines. Zero complaints from the 3 products that I tried from the Kiko collection. Think they're fantastic. On 2/11, I ran into CVS because I needed a new mascara. I had used up my IT Cosmetics Superhero mascara, which was in my everyday makeup drawer, and I did not care for the CoverGirl new mascara that came out. Yeah, the one in the black package, the Exhibitionist Uncensored mascara. I didn't care for this one enough to even want to keep using it, quite frankly. It's just not my preference. So I just went back and got another one of the traditional Exhibitionist mascaras, and I really, really enjoy it. It's an hourglass shape for the bristles, natural bristle brush, volumizes, lengthens, stays in place, doesn't flake, doesn't smudge. I think this is a fantastic mascara. So I did pick up another one of those. It's now in my everyday makeup drawer. And then on 2/17, I popped into Sephora and picked up 2 items in particular. I went in to look at the Pillow Talk collection from Charlotte Tilbury. I was looking at her big long palette. I honestly walked into the store thinking I was going to purchase that. Like, that was my intention. I was going to pick up one of her new Pillow Talk lipsticks and that eyeshadow palette. And the more I stared at the palette, the more I swatched it, and I kind of walked away from it and looked at the swatches on my arm and then went and looked at it again. The more I realized that it is a very warm toned palette, and I feel like my tendencies lately have been more towards neutral and cool tones, and I feel like I have a lot of warm tone palettes, and although the mattes seemed very beautiful and very pigmented, felt very like easy to work with types of formula. And the shimmers were gorgeous. I just started to feel like it wasn't a palette that was super exciting me. I felt like I was going to buy it to put it on my channel to dupe it, but I really wasn't that excited about it. And I was just having a hard time spending the $75 when at the end of the day, I was standing there in front of it and I just didn't feel excited. So I think I had asked you guys if you wanted to see dupes for this or a review on it. I feel like I'm also like the last person on the planet who hasn't done a review on it. There's like a zillion out there on YouTube that I could point you to, but for me, I want to continue purchasing luxury makeup. I want to continue finding dupes. I have a dupes video coming for you guys with some that I'm super excited about. And I've actually applied them all on my face so you can kind of see drugstore versus high-end side. And we'll talk about those. I've got 10 dupe products for luxury makeup and that'll come out here shortly. Yeah, I just didn't get the warm fuzzies about that palette. I did get the warm fuzzies about Pillow Talk Medium though. And I did travel with Pillow Talk Medium this last month and I think it's beautiful. I have tried to do Pillow Talk Medium inside of my collection and I don't have anything like it. I was expecting to come home having purchased Pillow Talk Medium and to go into like some of my Flower Beauty Petal Palette lipsticks and find a dupe, and I didn't. I did want to show you kind of them side by side so you can see. So that is Pillow Talk, the original shade, and then that is Pillow Talk Medium. These are both in her Matte Revolution formula. Pillow Talk Intense is in her Kissing formula, which is more of a cream with a little bit of shine to it. That was a really pretty formula, but it actually, because it's a little more sheer and a little more shiny, I kind of felt like it ended up looking very similar to Pillow Talk Medium on my hand. Once again, I'm a sucker for all things Charlotte Tilbury. The other thing that I picked up that day was a eyeshadow palette from Aether Beauty, and this is her Rose Quartz palette. Aether Beauty has been a brand that I have been really interested in trying. I've chatted with the owner on Instagram a few times. I think she's charming. She used to work for Sephora in product development, has kind of gone out on her own as like a one-man band to start this makeup company. And she's really focused on both sort of this clean beauty movement, but also this idea of packaging that is recyclable. As I was staring at the Charlotte Tilbury palette and then I was looking at this one, the cool tones in here just really called to me. And I liked that you had sort of a neutral khaki color. So I could go neutral in here. I could go a little, excuse me, I could go a little pinky toned. I could go a little cool toned with the grays. And I really felt like the shades that I had in here were kind of unique. The 4 colors that are here in the middle in these square pans are a little bit more of a sheer formula that has a lot of glitter in it. Like it's fairly intense with the glitter, but I didn't find that like they got weird on my eyes or I had lots of crumbling or lots of like glitter particles all over my face. I don't know, I have nothing negative to say about this. And I actually, in the first few weeks of March, I have now purchased another palette from her because I was just that impressed. So Aether Beauty is definitely on my radar in terms, they've got some lip products that I'm very interested in, and I'm definitely going to keep my eye open for any and all eyeshadow palettes that call my name because I think she's done some really nice things, especially in that more cool spectrum, which is something I don't think we see enough of. All right, so on 2/18, I got a small PR package from Good Molecules. They sent over their pure cold pressed rosehip seed oil. Really interested about this one is that oftentimes lower prices come at the expense of those who cannot stand up for themselves, farmers, workers, and the environment. At Good Molecules, we prefer to directly source our ingredients. This eliminates markup from the middleman, and it also lets us make sure the ingredients come from a place in which all parties are treated with respect. Have been out of my Hylamide SUBQ eye serum for almost a month. I just got some new in. They've been out of stock, and they've been out of stock for so long, I was starting to freak out that it wasn't coming back. And so this actually came at a time where that serum was gone. And so at night, I've been putting this rosehip seed oil on my under eyes. Now, I have a different oil from them, which is their ultra hydrating facial oil. This has sea buckthorn oil in it, and it's a little bit of a heavier oil. It's a little thicker, and I press that in all over my face. The rosehip seed oil is a little bit more lightweight, and a little more slippy, I guess, as it were. So I've been using 1 drop of this and just kind of tapping it in underneath my eyes to kind of lock in all the moisture underneath my eyes when I go to bed at night. And I have been really loving it in that respect. It's very gentle, it's very lightweight. And so this has been going all over my face and this has been going underneath my eyes. So then on 2/19, I did place an order for the Physicians Formula Cleansing Balm on Amazon. Fast forward a week and I find out that it is no longer cruelty free. So I'm going to use up that, and then I have my eye actually on a cleansing balm from Good Molecules. If you guys have any other drugstore cleansing balms that are cruelty free that you recommend, I would love to know. And then I did pick up my conditioner from a local salon here, Kenneth's. This is their Color Moist conditioner. It says it's emollient rich. It's specifically for color treated hair, no petrochemicals, no animal testing. This actually contains a sunscreen in it, which is fantastic for those of us that are having slightly faux red hair. Red fades very easily, and the sun is one of those things that definitely can pull out that color as well. So I kind of love that my conditioner has a little bit of sunscreen in it. I've used this for years and I see no reason to ever change. And then the last thing I purchased this month was actually from Hylamide. My SUBQ Eyes serum came back in stock. And because it had been out of stock for like 3 or 4 weeks, I was in a bit of a panic. So I did something I almost never do, and I bought 2 of them. There are no active ingredients in this that are going to go bad, and I just don't want to be without this because I have to be honest, the Walgrein peptide that's in here really does an amazing job of relaxing the fine lines and wrinkles around my eyes. And when I don't use this particular peptide that's in here, I notice a big difference day and night. It's not a permanent effect. So like a Matrixyl 3000 is actually going to help stimulate collagen, but you're not going to see the instant results from it. The Walgrein peptide in here, I genuinely feel like helps moisturize my under eyes and helps to almost instantly plump up that under eye, which is then helping to sort of diffuse, if you will, the fine lines that pop up underneath my eyes. So I never want to be without this. I noticed such a huge difference, both in terms of hydration and then just in terms of how much the fine lines under my eyes were actually appearing, especially by the end of the day, without using this product. So I did go ahead and purchase 2 of these. That is everything that I purchased in the month of February. Super big orders for drugstore at the beginning of the month. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at totals for the month. I had $10 in PR that came in. I had spent $20 on makeup basics, so I consider sort of lip balms and things like that makeup basics. In terms of drugstore makeup, was $123.92. Would have been a lot more without that Ulta 20% off coupon and redeeming all those points. So that was fantastic this month. And then in terms of high-end makeup, it was $152.69. I spent $47.48 on skincare, $19.35 on hair care, and then nothing on body care. So that kind of brings my total expenses to $363.43 or $373.43 if I'm kind of including PR inside of there as well. So that is going to leave me with $206.17 to roll over into the month of March. So kind of a big chunk, but that's actually going to work out fairly well for me. We'll talk about that when we get into my will I buy it for the month of March, which will be my next video. Let's look at the pie chart in terms of how I spent things. My highest category this month was definitely high-end makeup at 42%, followed by drugstore makeup at 34%, and then skincare at 13%, makeup basics at 6%, and then hair care at 5. So that's kind of where we're sitting for totals now. So my next video will be my needs, nopes, and wants video, sort of my will I buy it for the month of March. And we'll talk about sort of what does my budget look like in March? What are the things that I know I need to purchase? What are the things that I want to purchase? And then what are the things that I am anti-hauling as kind of my nopes. So that video will be coming out for me shortly. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and kind of mini reviews of the things that I purchased in February. Hope you're having an amazing week. Talk to you soon. Bye.